Welcome everyone officially now to Postcat Prep. And we are going to obviously have a lot of fun inside this, but we'll avoid controversial topics now. Okay. Let me, hit recording. Okay. Perfect. So what are we doing, today first? So first what we are doing is we are effectively going to look at the dashboard and what are the core components inside the dashboard and how do we utilize it. Okay. If you have to yawn diplomatically. ऐसे करके कोई नहीं करेगा. ठीक है. ठीक है. वैसा तुमने अगर जीडी में कर दिया तो वैसे भी तुमको भगा ही देगा. तो तुम पूरी लाइफ में फिर कभी नहीं कर पाएगा. ठीक है. सो ऐसे देयर इज डिप्लोमेटिकली. ठीक है. आप मुंह बंद रखते हो जैसे आप खाना खाते हुए मुंह बंद रखते हो. राइट. Right? How many of so you keep your mouth shut while you're eating. That is basic table etiquette. अगर ये नहीं है तो बी स्कूल में उसके बाहर कोई ना कोई तो टोक ही देगा. ठीक है. सो बी वेरी केयरफुल ऑफ दैट. एंड दीज आर स्मॉलर थिंग्स जो हम रियलाइज नहीं करते हैं. सो while you yawn also, you either cover your this thing completely, or you keep your mouth shut and then you yawn. Okay. It takes years of practice to perfect that, but you can do it. Okay. And trust me, all the mentors are going to point out even small things. Okay. Don't feel bad about it. Okay. Kai bar, for example, let's say people get pointed out for, for example, wobbling like this, they can inside the interview. And even small things are getting noticed. Okay. Like, for example, Anirudh is very serious about his future right now. Okay. So that, he's not able to focus in the present. Okay. So you don't have to be very much in the future. If you are there in the present, happy doing your work, the future is going to take care of itself. Okay. So what we are going to do first is we're going to first look at the dashboard. What are the core components inside GDPI preparation and how are we going to do that inside postcat prep? Okay. Is everybody able to hear me? Throughout the preparation structure, one thing which is going to be absolutely simple, and nobody is going to keep reminding you of this, कि अगर आपको कहीं पे भी difficulty है, you have to ask question. Okay. Whether that is within the session or outside the session, but asking questions is very important. And remember, in this journey you will not have a lot of big doubts. You're all smart people. Okay. You've reached here, you have qualified the entrance examinations. You've reached here means you are obviously smart people. Okay. But you will have a lot of small difficulties, not a lot of big difficulties, but a lot of small queries. Okay. Be absolutely clear of that. Okay. To as simple as, can I ask 3 questions at the end of the interview? That's a very simple question, very, very small doubt, but a potent doubt. Any answers to that? Can I ask 3 questions? When your interview ends, in the end, what happens is the interviewer tells you, do you have any questions for me? Correct? How many questions can I ask? Very simple question. 1 to 2 questions. 2 to 3 questions. Okay. Idhant, go ahead.
I have been via my internship or placement interviews, but I usually ask one question only.
You ask one question.
Yeah.
Typically, it should be one question and one question only. Okay. And if you are asking the second question, it better be a very potent question. Else you are losing marks. Very simple. कि तुमने पूरा इंटरव्यू में एक इंप्रेशन बनाया और आखिरी वाले क्वेश्चन में उसको बिगाड़ दिया. ठीक है. तो डू नॉट टेक इनफ रिस्क. इतना क्यूरियस नहीं होना है इंटरव्यू में कि आपने सारे क्वेश्चंस उसी दिन आपने पूछ लेने. ठीक है. फाइनली लास्ट में जाके ऑरा नेगेटिव करके आ गए. वो नहीं करना है. सो वन क्वेश्चन. कैन आई आस्क 0 questions? Can I ask 0 questions? Anybody? And be participative, guys. This stage is about participation. You have to speak. Okay. You have to participate. You have to take accountability, ownership, initiative. Okay. Can I ask 0 questions? Okay. The answer to that is, can I eat food without salt? If the answer to that is yes, then the answer to that question is also yes. If the answer to that is no, the answer to this question is also no. Do some research, guys. It's not the college doing some charity by giving you admission. Do you guys agree with me or not? You need a college as much as a college needs a good student, right? You are investing your hard earned money from the future. Do you know what is more costly than the hard earned money? The hard earned money from the future is costlier than the hard earned money which is already there. Okay, because from your salaries, when you start paying your debts, it will start pinching you कि यार मेरी इतनी अच्छी सैलरी है, ठीक है, घर वालों ने ढिंढोरा अलग पीट दिया है, ठीक है, मुझे सीटीसी मिला 25 का, घर वालों ने जमाने भर को 50 बता रखा है। अच्छा, कुछ लोग अगर फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से नॉर्थ वाले हैं, नॉर्थ वाले तो और ज्यादा इन्फ्लेट करते हैं, 75-80 बता देते हैं। अगर आप दिल्ली में हैं तो दिल्ली वाले तो मतलब नेक्स्ट लेवल, ठीक है भाई, वो 75-80 बता देंगे। 25 का ठीक है, समझ रहा है, तो वो 25 का है और तो वो 75-80 बता रहे हैं। तो पॉइंट इज कि इट विल स्टार्ट पिंचिंग यू। दिस डिसीजन ऑफ गेटिंग इनसाइड एनी बी स्कूल is a very important decision, and obviously you should have your questions, correct? You became a part of postcat prep, you asked your questions, right? So now when you are getting inside the B school, why are you not asking questions? It's not that you are investing 25-30 lakhs, just like that, right? How many of you can do that just like that, right? So it's a very important decision. Okay, right? And everybody has forgotten my second input, which was to smile, correct? So everybody is back to their normal self. ना ना, स्माइल और मैं चांस ही नहीं है, कोई रिश्ता ही नहीं है स्माइल से हमारा, ठीक है? ओके, नाउ लेट मी Praveen, I'm going to come to the assignments also. Okay, so very simply, you have to have questions, guys. You have to have questions. When you are getting inside any interview, you have to prepare your questions, but you obviously should not have questions the answers to which you can effectively find out online. कि सर व्हाट आर द वैल्यूज ऑफ योर इंस्टीट्यूट, अरे लिखा हुआ है, जाके देखो ना वेबसाइट पे, ठीक है, व्हाट आर द वैल्यूज ऑफ योर इंस्टीट्यूट, ठीक है, ये सब पढ़ के आना चाहिए। तुम आके इंस्टीट्यूट में इंटरव्यूअर को पूछ रहा है, ये सब चीजें आपको नहीं करनी है वहां जाके। यू शुड आस्क अ क्वेश्चन विच इज नॉट देयर, विच इज नॉट इन द पब्लिक डोमेन। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट्स से IIM Lucknow has entrepreneurship cell, correct? So what are the kind of projects that happen inside entrepreneurship cell? Do people get funds, if they have an idea, right? For example, let's say, do we get an opportunity to do the live projects with the professors? The professors are involved in a lot of government projects. How many of you know that, right? So they do a lot of research and they do a lot of government projects. So if I become a part of IIM Lucknow, do I get an opportunity to be a part of such coveted projects or not? Those are the questions to ask. ऐसा नहीं कि tell me the vision of your college. इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन तुम पूछेगा तो और नेगेटिव हो जाएगा, ठीक है? क्लियर है? नाउ लेट मी क्विकली कम टू द प्रोसेस। ओके, so as soon as the process begins, many of you have done your first assignment, some of you are doing your first assignment. Okay, people who started today would have received it. People who have started in the last couple of hours will get their assignments. First assignment is very important for you, okay, because it effectively gets you started in terms of thinking. How do you start introspecting, writing your answers? It is very, very important for you, to effectively get out this inertia of aptitude, quantitative aptitude, data interpretation, logical reasoning, verbal ability। पूरा दिमाग उसी से भरा हुआ है, ठीक है? दिमाग में अपने बारे में ख्याल ही नहीं है, ठीक है? ख्याल क्या है कि क्वांट्स में नंबर कैसे आएगा, DILR में नंबर कैसे आएगा, ये अरेंजमेंट मेरे से सॉल्व होता नहीं है, ऊपर से गेम्स एंड टूर्नामेंट्स अलग आ गया है, ठीक है? सो you have to now create some space inside your mind for this process also, because it is what is really going to get you inside the B school. Okay, you have one step which is basically the entrance examinations, but until and unless you clear it, it's no use, कोई फायदा ही नहीं है, ठीक है? पूरे साल भर तुम 15 कॉल लेके आया, किसको बताएगा अगले साल कि मेरे पास 15 कॉल्स था? उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, ठीक है? द बेस्ट यू कैन डू इज गो टू द रेडिट एंड से दैट 15 कॉल था, एक भी नहीं कन्वर्ट हुआ। ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि मैं इंजीनियर हूँ, ठीक है? ये सब मतलब कहने सुनने में, उसके बाद फिर 10-15 लोग उसके अंदर आएंगे, हाँ भाई मेरा भी नहीं हुआ, हाँ भाई मेरा भी, हाँ 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 हाँ, ठीक है भाई, तुम सब मेरे भाई हो, चलो मिलके, ठीक है, हम फॉर एग्जाम्पल रॉयल एनफील्ड खरीद लेते हैं, हमारा फ्रेटर्निटी और स्ट्रांग हो जाएगा, ठीक है? तो पॉइंट इज पॉइंटलेस। So what is very important from this point onwards is to start effectively creating some mind space with respect to this process. And another important element, guys, is the fact that it is not something which takes a lot of time, but it takes a lot of, mind or thoughts. Correct. For example, I remember, back in my preparation days, I used to think inside, before I, I'm getting into, let's say, before I'm getting into just all right. Yeah. So, I remember during my preparation days, I used to do a lot of thinking. Like I'll wake up and I think, यार ये YMBA में क्या लिखूंगा मैं? ठीक है? I will think, before going to sleep. Even inside the washroom, I used to think. कि क्या लिखूं, कैसे लिखूं मैं? ठीक है, मेरा तो आंसर ही नहीं बन रहा है ये। YMBA से ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस तो आज तक मैंने कभी आंसर किया ही नहीं है। ठीक है, एंड ट्रस्ट मी, व्हेन यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग यू विल रियलाइज देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन मोर डिफिकल्ट देन YMBA. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू अग्री विद मी? And today we are going to effectively talk about that also. Correct. Very honestly, there is no more, there is nothing more difficult than this. You can get 100 percentile in CAT, okay, but getting that YMBA right is a huge challenge. Okay, you will struggle it. You will struggle, big time with that question, right? So you're going to, deal with all of that, and we are going to do it properly. Okay, and we are going to do it in manner which has worked for us alums. Okay, and therefore we believe that it should work with you, but no copying. When when you'll get your second assignment, you would have the sample answers also. Don't copy. ठीक है, एक इन वन ऑफ द सीजन्स मैंने अपने ही सैंपल आंसर शेयर कर दिए थे। मॉक पीआई में लोग मेरे ही आंसर सुना रहे हैं मेरे को। ठीक है कि हाँ, आई एम एन अडेप्टेबल पर्सन। मैं बोला यार, सुना सुना सा लग रहा है ये मेरे को। ठीक है, ये तो मेरा ही आंसर है। तो वो पूरा ही छाप दिया मतलब। ठीक है, तो कई एंड टू वन कैंडिडेट आई आस्क्ड, यार इट लुक्स लाइक माय क्वेश्चन, माय आंसर। तो लाइक कि सर कुछ नहीं मिल रहा था। तो मैं सोचा ये ठीक है, यही यही चला देते हैं। ठीक है ना? तो so that is also something which happens. Okay, brilliant. So let me quickly share my screen and talk about it. The first assignment is what you have to do. Take up a few hours, think, send it to us so that we can also get to know you. Okay, so we get to know you, know a little bit about your profile. Okay, what have you been doing, right? And all of that. Okay, so that is something which we have to. Okay, now let me quickly share my screen and talk to you a little bit about the dashboard and what are the core components inside GDPI. How do you utilize that? What is it that you do in terms of the entire preparation? क्या क्या चीजें हैं जो आपको ध्यान रखनी होती हैं inside the preparation? Okay, let me quickly you know drop in here. Okay, are you guys with me? Can you all quickly confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. So what are we doing right now? We are creating this session. Okay, this is like inception. Okay, we are creating that session while we are there in that session. Okay, right? So when you watch that session on your dashboard after the session today, it will bring you to this point in time. This is time travel. Okay, right? So that is something which we are doing. Okay, here you will find the all the live sessions that are there. So basically the live sessions, as they keep happening, keep getting added here. For example, the first session that we did wherein we talked about how do you talk about yourself, how do you answer a question like tell me something about yourself. That is where you will find all the live sessions happening. Okay, there are a few highlights of a season. For example, let's say we also have IIM professors who come in and talk about how do they take the interviews. Okay, so you will have the session here. Okay, in fact this session is here. The session that we had last season, you can check it out. It is a very amazing session. If you actually watch this, your perspective of interview completely changes. What is an IM professor who's taking an interview looking at? We'll have the professors coming in this season also to talk with you, to have conversations with you, to answer a lot of questions. So us as alums will obviously help you out in the entire journey, but you'll also have mentors, professors come in and talk about their perspective. What are the, for example, what's the marking scheme like? Where are they putting how much weightage? And, how are they basically evaluating a candidate? Okay, so do check this out. It's going to be an absolutely, phenomenal session. In fact, once you go back after this session, you can check this out. It's a very, very beautiful session to begin your preparation, because it really opens up your mind in terms of what is it. Because honestly, what really matters is what they are looking at. Okay, what they are looking at is the most important. Okay, so do check that out. After you are done with your first assignment, okay, then there is the second assignment, which is known as the HR Q&A assignment. Okay, what is the HR Q&A assignment? HR Q&A assignment is all about answering the core questions, everything related to you. There can be a lot of questions, okay, which will, sort of occupy a lot of mind space in the next week or so. For example, things like tell me about yourself, why MBA, long term, short term goals, achievement failures, strengths and weaknesses, values, situational questions. Tell us a situation where you have faced conflict, right? Tell us a situation where you have resolved conflicts. Tell us a situation where you have challenged the status quo. A lot of anecdotal questions, and you have to answer those questions. And trust me, you can't answer those questions, you know, thinking on your feet at that point in time. So you have to effectively think of a lot of anecdotes, right? Which truly represent your personality, and you obviously cannot copy it from anywhere, because then it will not represent you completely. If you would actually copy it from here or there, first answer looks like Shah Rukh Khan, second one looks like Salman Khan, third one looks like Amir Khan. Okay, so that effectively, हम है राही प्यार के फिर मिलेंगे चलते चलते, right? So my point is, do not, mix and match. Has to be your personalized answer, your personalized story. That is very important. Remember this aspect. And once you start drafting this, you will then start sitting down with us alums and mentors to effectively review it and refine it at an individual level. Okay, so that is the most important step. Once you have done that, you can be absolutely confident that your answers are good. Plus, what is also very important is having the right frameworks, having the right structure. What I'd also recommend is, once you are done with your first, your absolute, first assignment, you can also look at the HR Q&A session. Okay, wherein our mentor from IIM Ahmedabad, Soptik, talks about how do you effectively answer each of these questions. Okay, so do check that out, and then you can start working on your HR Q&A. Okay, subsequently, we will roll out slots at daily level to effectively evaluate your answers, review your answers individually. So, the mentors will start sitting down, and we'd have a lot of panels wherein you would start sitting down with them, and you will effectively start reviewing your answers, asking your questions. There'll be a lot of answers which you can't think on your own, right? I'm sure that is also going to happen. Let's say I'm not able to think of a situation where I have done something non-traditional. Okay, in fact, I still remember one answer which cracks me up every time I think about this answer. And this, there was this question that tell me about something wherein you have, tried a non-traditional solution. Okay. To which one answer was that one day I was, playing a cricket match. I went to play the cricket match. The entire field was, set on the leg side, knowing that I am a right-handed player, and therefore most of my shots would go in the right direction. What I did was I, went there, and the other players in the opponent team did not know that, I could bat left-handed also. So I switched and I became a left-handed player. And then I asked, okay, that is very easy, because then they can also change the field, right? So then, this guy was like, okay, I did not think about that. But at that moment, the opponent team also did not think about that. So that is, absolutely hilarious. You can't give such answers, obviously, right? So there will be situations where you are not able to form answers, and therefore the session is also important in terms of brainstorming. Okay, but a brainstorming can only happen, guys, after introspection. Okay, if you are completely blank, Okay, then what is the mentor going to tell you? The mentor is going to tell you his story, which will obviously not be yours. So you have to, the assignment one is primarily about doing a lot of thinking, right? A lot of introspection. And then you pull out a lot of, anecdotes, you pull out a lot of, content from your, from your story that is effectively converted into answers, right? So that is what is something which is very, very important. So you will sit down, you will do a lot of brainstorming, you will do a lot of, back and forth iterations also, to ensure that you are creating good answers. If you are able to create good answers, 50% of your job is done, because 50% of your interview is going to be dependent on this. Okay, if your answers are, made properly, because trust me, and think of it like this. Think that, let's say Siddharth is the interviewer. Okay, and I am the candidate. Okay, and I come into the interview room and Siddharth, asks me, tell me something about yourself. I have a very bad answer, like I'm talking about some random shit. Okay, this guy is going to reject me from here already. Now whatever he is doing is just formality, just passing time. ठीक है, कि 5 मिनट में भेज दिया तो मर ना जाए, जाके कहीं कूद जाएगा। ठीक है, तो वो क्या करेगा, दो चार क्वेश्चंस ऐसे ही पूछेगा और भगा देगा मेरे को। ठीक है, और मैं बाहर आके लोगों को बोलूंगा मेरा इंटरव्यू जो था, ब्रिलियंट। कैसे पता चला? हंस रहा था, मतलब इंटरव्यूअर was smiling. That is how people figure out that my interview was good. I asked a lot of candidates, how do you know the interview was good? My interview was good. I do not know why I was rejected. How did you know this? The interview was smiling. That is, absolutely bullshit, not the right way of figuring out. See, if you'll sit down with me for an interview, I'll keep smiling. पर तुम्हें पता नहीं चलेगा कि मैं तुम्हें हंस के देख रहा हूं या देख के हंस रहा हूं। Getting my point? So the idea is, it's absolutely not the right way to figure out कि भाई तुम्हारा इंटरव्यू अच्छा गया है कि बुरा गया है। ठीक है, another important element is that never judge an interview by the length of the interview. Okay, that's also something which is going to happen with a lot of you, trust me. मतलब इस सीजन में कई बार ऐसा होगा कि तुम्हारे 10 मिनट का इंटरव्यू, my I am Lucknow interview was 10 minutes only 10 minutes. Okay. On the other hand, I am Code interview was 25-30 minutes and both were converted. So it's not that, if I'm, and I am Code, I was grilled. I was, completely grilled. Okay. The interviewer had some issues with Bharti Airtel. I, maybe his connection was not right and he was completely pissed. His complaints were not getting addressed. So he was completely pissed. So when I went in there, he, completely, ranted it all out. Right. So I think I still served a purpose. Right. Because he needed somebody to blast. I was the person who blasted me completely. I kept, only thing which I did well in the interview is I kept my cool. I kept smiling. To a lot of to a lot of his questions, I was only apologizing, sir, I'm very sorry about that, but I would, once I go back, I'll check it. In fact, his it was not in my territory also. I had gone to Calcutta to take my interview. Okay, so it was not in my territory, but I kept telling him that I'm absolutely sorry about it. I will absolutely go back and check. It's not my thing to check. It does not fall in my territory. But still, I maintained my calm, and that I believe was the sole reason for conversion, because I could hardly answer questions, barring the questions which were pointed out, which were related to me, like tell me about yourself or why MBA, short term, long term goals. Those are the only questions which I could answer. Apart from that, he obviously asked me a lot of difficult questions because he was pissed. Okay, but maybe he was pissed or not, but he was a good human being. So he had forgiven me by the end of it after he had vented it out. But and he obviously gave me the selection. Okay, what things lead the interview to stress interview? Akhtar, good question. Bad answers lead to stress interview. Bad answers mean vague answers lead to stress interview. Okay, I am asking you, why do you want to do an MBA? Okay. And you are telling me that I want to become a leader. दैट इज अ वेग आंसर। कि क्यों बनना चाहते हो? अरे भाई बहुत सारे लोग हैं, लीडर वैसे ही बन गए हैं। ठीक है, लाल कृष्ण आडवाणी जी, ठीक है, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, ठीक है, जितने भी लोग हैं, ठीक है, कितने लोग एमबीए करके बैठे हुए हैं। ठीक है, सो डोंट टेल मी दैट यू वांट टू बिकम अ लीडर। अच्छा, पीपल आर आल्सो ऑब्सेस्ड विथ अ वर्ड कॉल्ड लीडरशिप। हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर लाइक दैट हियर? एंड बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, ऑब्सेस्ड विद दिस वर्ड कॉल्ड लीडरशिप। वो कहीं भी लीडरशिप बस डाल देना चाहते हैं। But understand that there is nothing called leadership skill. Leadership is a bag of skills. Okay, it includes communication also, the ability to influence, the ability to do your own work individually properly, coordinate well with your group. There are empathy, so on and so forth. So it's a bag of skills, and just using it like that casually, is not something which is the right thing to do. Another thing is using a lot of jargons. What leads to stress interview? Trying to be over smart. Okay, creating buzzwords, putting buzzwords just for the sake of it. I do not understand a lot of things, but I just say that because I believe that it will put me into good light. मेरा एक बड़ा बढ़िया ऑरा बन जाएगा, एक बढ़िया इंप्रेशन बन जाएगा वैसे. Okay, did that. I in one of the answers I said that I'm going to add value to the institute, and the interviewer said define value, and then I was stuck. So never do that. It's like अचानक से गूगली आएगा और तुम बोल्ड हो जाएगा. ठीक है, तो ऐसी चीजें मत डालो. ठीक है, कि तुम बोल्ड हो जाओ. Remember one thing which is also very important is, and while you'll all will get inside a lot of mock PIs, right? One thing to very simply understand is that whatever you've written in your answers, you have to be very thorough with every word, because you might get a question. And why is this a very time taking process, guys? Because you have to expect question from every word that you have written. Obviously not the articles, but beyond that, every word that you have written, you can get a question from there. Therefore this entire GDPI process is a very time taking process. Okay, the interviewer inside mock PS will ask you a lot of questions, but you have to ask yourself a lot of questions as well. Okay, while you are preparing. Okay, for example, let's say I pick up a word, and now I had written this word in my answer that I'm going to add value. So he asked me a legit question, what is value? आई वॉज एब्सोल्युटली नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग दिस एंड कंप्लीटली स्टन्ड कि भाई होता क्या पता. मैं डिफाइन करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ बेवकूफों की तरह, कि मैं बना रहा हूँ उसका डेफिनेशन कि व्हाट इज वैल्यू. वैल्यू इज समथिंग व्हिच इज वैल्यूएबल. सेकंड मिस्टेक, नेवर डिफाइन थिंग्स लाइक दिस. ओके, okay, what is good? Good is something which is not bad. Never should you ever prove that you are a nincompoop. Okay, never do that. Okay, so if you don't know something, say that I don't know, but I want to go back and I want to check. And when you say that you're going to go back and check, make sure that you do that. For one of the candidate, it happened. He was asked a question in an interview. Okay, and this guy said that, okay, he had obviously rehearsed, so he told that I do not know this, but I'm going to go back and check. Okay. A month later, he met him in another IIM interview, and this guy recognized him. Like, okay, I've seen you there. Okay. He asked the same question. This guy had not checked the same question now. Okay. But he had told him that I'm going to go back and check. He told me that I might select you in that interview, but I'm definitely rejecting you here. 100%. I'm rejecting you. Okay. So when you say that you go back and check, be honest. Do check that, because you might get that question. Even if you don't find the same interviewer, but you might get the same question. So every question you get inside a mock PI or an actual PI is an important question. So you have to go back and do that. Okay. So HR Q&A is something wherein you have to spend a lot of time to do it very properly. That's something which is very, very important. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me run through the other important components. Okay. Then there is this component which is current affairs. Okay. You'll find a couple of sessions in terms of how do you get started with current affairs, what do you mean by current affairs, etc., etc. And you will have a lot of, so basically you have the budget session from the last year. This year's budget has not happened, so you will have the budget session this year. You will have a session on Indian economy also this year. Again, around 7th of January, you will have the first advance estimate. As soon as that comes on 7th January, you have a session on Indian economy and how's the GDP shaping up. Okay, so that's something which is going to happen, and then on the top of that, you will have 6 compendiums. So August, September, October, November, December, January. You would have compendiums that you will have to look at to effectively understand what all important has happened in these months, so that you are absolutely aware of what are the key components, right? So the key stories, and a lot of connected stories, right? So the stories that have, let's say, building up in August and then going up into September, October, November, stretching up into 3 4 months, are generally the stories that remain in your mind, and those are the stories that are there fresh in their minds also, and therefore the chances of that story coming up is pretty high. And not just inside current affairs, but those stories are important in cases of VATs and GDs also. So VATs also, you get a lot of current affairs topics, a lot of general affairs, but current affairs, what is very important is the 6 compendiums: August, September, October, November, December, January, and then we'd add February also, has to be done properly. Okay. Besides that, you keep happy, keep having sessions on current affairs at a weekly level in terms of understanding what all is happening. Another important element, you have this daily news. Are you guys able to see this? Okay. So if now I've opened that in a new tab, are you able to see this new tab also? Okay. Brilliant. So now what you are looking at is news highlights for December 18, 2025. Okay. What you should do is you can, have a look at this every day. Okay. For the quick news bits that are there. You can also keep downloading it. If in case you are not reading it, just download it because it will refresh every day. Okay. So keep downloading this, or, sort of spend 10 15 minutes every day and read the important news which is going to come in. So it's going to have a lot of news with respect to stock market. It's going to have news with respect to geopolitics. It's going to have news with respect to important mergers and acquisitions, with respect to your core elements that are happening in Indian politics, and obviously anything important with respect to your Indian economy. So for example, if you look at the US India geopolitical scenario, okay, all of that, correct? So important elements, what is happening over Taiwan, right? So you would have a lot of important elements. You would have economy based, you would have economy based news. You would have and from different sources, Economic Times, Money Control, Business Times, so that you don't have to actually go to a lot of sites. You can just read it in one go at one place. Okay. Tanushri is saying, what should we focus on understanding kind of questions you should be thinking about when we read a news article? Quite a convoluted question, Tanushri. Can you simplify that for me?
Yes, sure. Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was wondering, for example, if I'm reading a news article about, let's say, the US tariff situation with India, what kind of questions should we be thinking about? Because when we're reading the article, we could be thinking about how it's impacting Indian economy, how it's impacting US domestic, how
Okay.
it can be
So,
focused on from a lot of different aspects.
understood. So, Tanushri, you have done your studies from the US, right? Right. So basically they might ask you a lot of questions to you from the US domestic scenario also, right? For a lot of other people, the questions would be in the Indian context. Okay. So for example, let's say if something is happening, what is the implication in the Indian market? Okay. So that is the kind of question. Now, let me give you a very simple example. Okay. Let's say the Federal Reserve. Okay. If the Federal Reserve increases the rates, okay, then how is that going to impact Indian economy? I would want everybody to just think about it. Anybody who would want to answer that can participate and answer, and do not worry about a wrong answer. It's absolutely fine to give a wrong answer, but what I'd really want you all to do is take initiatives and participate. It's very important. Okay. So what happens to the Indian market? Think about it. Okay. what happens to the stock market? If the Federal Reserve increases the rates, what will happen? What will happen to, let's say, the FIIs? Yes, Akhtar, go ahead.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
So if the Federal Reserve increases its interest rates, then it will surely attract the its existing US investments in India, and that will lead to back to the US. That will directly impact the foreign direct investment in India and
Absolutely.
our forex reserve. Yes.
Good point. Good point, Akhtar. So that is one very simple answer, right? And very logical answer. So what you are expected to do is, the ability to connect A and B. That is what you have to learn from the news. The news is not about memorizing, top stories. It's about connecting the stories. Okay. For example, let's say um, RBI cuts the repo rate. What is it? How, now tell me, let me ask you a simple question. Okay. Tell me from a student perspective, if RBI cuts repo rate, is it good for you or bad for you? So you'll get a lot of these
Education,
questions.
education loan interest rate will reduce, home loan interest rate will reduce. So for a student perspective, it is good.
Okay.
But
Good.
for a investor perspective, the rates of FD will also will be reduced. So
Okay.
if someone like takes debt and doesn't invest in equity, so for him, the repo rate reducing is a bad sign.
Mm-hmm.
But for a
Okay.
student, for yeah,
Okay. So, okay. Now, Anirudh, I'm telling you that it is not good for you. Can you tell me a reason why it will not be good for you? I'm telling you, okay, you are right about it. But I'm
hmm
telling you that it is not good for you. Can you think of a reason as to why it will not be good for you?
So like I am an investor also. So
Okay.
from that perspective, also it is not good for me
No, no, no.
because okay,
Think of it from an MBA student standpoint. So
okay,
as a
okay. Who
student,
is
you
not
mentioned
earning?
that okay, the education loan interest rates are going to go down, and that is going to be helpful, and I agree with you. But I'm also telling you to now think, reverse. Give me a reason as to why it is not going to be good for you.
Can I have some time for thinking?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, as a student also, you are not, aloof of inflation, right? It is obviously going to impact, your situation. So if basically there is a rate cut, it's also going to, what's going to do is it's going to effectively put in a lot of money in the market. So a B school, for example, let's say the spends that you have during B school, and more importantly, the spends that you have right after B school, okay, is obviously going to get impacted. You're going to go back, let's say go to Mumbai, that is again important. That you might see increase in fee also. So your college fee also might increase, right? Right? So your college fees, so, the propensity to pay increases, and therefore the price points will also inflate. So your fee might increase, your expense, right after B school will increase. You will go to a new city, let's say Mumbai, Delhi, you will try and find a place for yourself. Everything becomes expensive. So that is how, you would need to think. Okay. Basically, it's not only about remembering numbers or facts. It's about the ability to understand what is going to happen because of that. And how does it impact you as a person? How does it impact India? How does it impact Indian economy? How does it impact the world at large? Correct? So from a consequence standpoint, from an implication standpoint, and not just from a story standpoint. You getting my point? That is something which we have to look at. Okay. Uh, Kunal is saying, so we can conclude that the relationship between inflation and repo rate is inverse. See, repo rate cut करेगा तो normally तुम्हारा inflation ऊपर जाना चाहिए, but it's not only repo rate. ठीक है? As you know, there are two types of rates. There are basically you have the fiscal policy which is controlled by the government, and then there is monetary policy. Monetary policy is controlled by the central bank. So it may happen that effectively the government takes countermeasures to control, what is basically increased, right? See, that is why there are two types of policies, fiscal policy and monetary policy. So that if, let's say, things are going out of my hand, out of, let's say, government's hand, then RBI can do something about it. And if, let's say, things are going out of RBI's hand, then government can do something about it, right? And that is also the basic premise of the Keynesian theory. Anybody from economics here? So John Maynard Keynes talked about the invisible hand, or basically the intervention of the government, becoming very, very important after, around 1929, when there was great economic depression, right? Before that, you had Adams theory, which effectively talked about free market. And post that, that thing effectively changed completely, because then, the need for a monetary policy, basically being supported by a fiscal policy, or basically government's intervention, became very, very important. Correct. So you'd have to read a lot, and you will have specific sessions also. We're going to do a lot of sessions on economics. Okay. You're going to do a lot of sessions on, connecting the dots. Correct. So your current affairs sessions are going to be effectively connecting the dots, right? While you read stories, while you read news, the sessions are planned to effectively connect the dots. Okay, the many times we read two stories in silos, but the stories are connected. And when you know the link, okay, you feel like amazing. You feel like, having achieved something, right? So that is the feeling that we have to look at. Okay, so I'm hoping that part is clear to everybody. सबको समझ में आया? ठीक है, अंकित बोल रहा है कि सर इतना सब आपको कैसे याद है? पोस्ट कैट प्रेप सीजन 8। ओके, सो तो हर साल हो रहा है, तो effectively, and we are also, sort of reading a lot, to help you out. It's not that we know everything. I have myself taken more than 5,000 interviews, but we also do a lot of reading. We also do a lot of, digging to understand what is happening, so that we can help you better. Okay. All right. Okay. Praswal is saying, being from non-finance background, what all should I need to know, and where to start from, and how much to know? I'm going to come to that. Okay. All right. So now I'm moving, ahead of current affairs. So what you can do is you can start reading from each of it. Okay. So on your dashboard, there are some components, inside every bucket, wherein you can start reading. Okay. You can start looking at some of the sessions, while you will have a lot of sessions, in this season to build it up, right? But you can start effectively putting in your efforts in that direction. Now, to answer Prajwal's question, okay, I absolutely did not pay Prajwal, to ask that question, but, absolutely on time, because I was going to get inside domain sessions right now, and Prajwal asked the right question. Okay. Now, जब अब when you effectively look at domain sessions, domain के अंदर तुम्हें बहुत सारे sessions already देखने को मिल रहे हैं, okay, which are basically your pre-recorded sessions, and you will also have a lot of live sessions, right? So if you look at, you have a lot of sessions on economics, you have sessions on GDP, you have sessions on basic finance, you have sessions on marketing basics, you have, sessions on, how to get started with work experience preparation. Do you look at this? Your graduation preparation, operations basics, finance basics too. Now, somebody who's a beginner has to start looking at finance basics, wherein you start getting into the financial statements, the balance sheet, the profit and loss, and your cash flow statement. How are all these connected? Let me ask you a very simple question. Is everybody able to hear me? Okay. How many of you are from finance? Anybody from finance here? Or accounting or commerce? Ashutosh thinks, can you tell the topics we should be reading about in general? Okay. All right. I'll first understand that question. Never answer a question unless you understand that question. And that is also one important element that has to be, that has to remain valid inside every mock PI. If you do not, a lot of times we answer a question without understanding. I did not understand Ashutosh's question fully. So I'm going to go back to him, ask him, and, understand, then answer. Okay. Now, yeah. So let me ask a simple question. Okay. Let's say that I have a firm XYZ Private Limited. Okay. Okay. Now, what I do is I buy an equipment, okay, worth 5 lakh rupees. Okay. So all these people from accounts have to tell me, okay, I bought it. I bought 5 lakh rupees of worth of an equipment and I paid in cash. Okay. Can you tell me how does it impact three statements? Balance sheet, profit and loss, and your cash flow today. How does it
Can
impact
I try?
anybody?
Can I try, sir?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Hi. So in balance sheet, it will be recorded on the asset side. The machinery will be recorded on the asset side. So balance sheet will be affected like this. In cash flow, so there is a outflow of cash since we are
No, no, no.
paying.
So in the balance sheet, it will come on the asset side.
Yeah, sir.
So the asset will increase by 5 lakhs.
Asset will increase by 5 lakhs.
Okay. But then there is a,
The
imbalance.
cash, on the other hand, the cash will be decreased by 5 lakhs.
On the other hand, or on the same side.
On the same side, like on the asset side, there will be cash. So cash will be decreased by 5 lakhs and asset will be increased by 5 lakhs.
Okay. How does it impact everything else?
Uh, 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 in what the other thing you asked, sir?
So how does it impact balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow statement?
On the other hand, in cash flow statement, we are buying something, so we have to pay cash. So on in cash flow statement, the cash will be decreased. There will be decrease in the cash.
In cash, so there'll be cash outflow.
Yeah, there will be a cash outflow.
So there'll be a cash outflow inside operating, investing, or financing.
There will be a cash outflow inside operating activity.
Is it
Operating if machine.
okay?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
There will be operating if machinery is related to operations, means daily operations, like if we are producing something, or like if we are in a manufacturing firm, then it will be operating side will be affected.
Okay. So it will be inside operating cash flow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ketan, and so you are saying profit and loss is not impacted.
Profit and loss is not impacted.
Okay. Ketan, can you verify Ankit's question? Now, this is exactly how a group interview happens inside SPJIMR. Okay. I asked a question to everybody. Ankit picked it up, and now I'm going to go to Ketan to verify this. Ketan, can you verify his answer?
Yes, sir. So first of all, as we purchase the machinery, the entry is machine to cash or bank.
Mhm.
So on that basis, the asset will increase by 5 lakhs and the cash or bank will decrease by 5 lakhs. So the balance sheet asset side is has not been impacted. Then
So
going
what you are
back to
saying is his answer with respect to balance sheet was correct.
correct. Then
Okay.
then coming back to cash flow. If we have purchased the machinery which will expire in 1 year time frame, for example like spare parts or some of the machinery which will not be used next year, then it will come in the operating cash flow. Otherwise more than 1 year it will come in investing activities.
Okay. So basically, I have bought a machinery. Obviously, let's say it will last, let's say 5 to 10 years. So it will be inside investing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the
That
second answer was incorrect.
it will be operating.
No, the second answer which Ankit gave was incorrect, is what you are
Yes,
saying.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Then
Okay. Okay.
then then going to profit and loss, as we have purchased the machinery, so we will have to pay if there is some taxes. If there is not, then also we have to pay the depreciation. Then if the depreciation we are deducting, it will also impact our profit and profit will decrease, so it will impact our profit and loss also.
Okay. Can somebody verify Ketan's last answer? Impact on profit and loss. Okay. Now let me summarize. And let me tell you that all these answers are incorrect. Can somebody tell me why? Everything is incorrect.
uh, Sir, because we have not told the nature of purchase.
Nature of purchase as in?
The nature of purchase, as in uh, like you are buying to sell or you are buying to produce something.
No, that is not the case. The case is, and I'll repeat my question. ठीक है शाश्वत थोड़ा सा बाउंसर जाएगा ठीक है but I'm pretty sure that you will start reading finance ठीक है ना I'm also an engineer. I had a 9 pointer in finance. Okay, so if I can do this, you can also do it. But all these answers are incorrect. And I'll tell you why. Let me repeat a question, and Swati has already answered it. I said that I have a firm which is XYZ Private Limited, but I have bought a machine. So this is a personal purchase, does not impact anything at all, does not impact balance sheet, does not impact profit and loss, does not impact cash flow statement. And even if it were to impact balance sheet, Ketan, profit and loss, it cannot impact today. You will not account for depreciation today, right? You will account for depreciation at the end of a year. And again, depending upon whatever method you use, whether it is straight line method or WDV, it will be impacted after the end of the financial year. Okay. So the answer to this question lies in the question itself. And therefore, the reason why I asked you this question is not because I wanted to discuss finance. We will discuss finance inside the finance classes. But the reason why I asked you this question is to tell you that if you're not listening to the question carefully, it could lead to a very clear disaster. So listen to the question very carefully. Okay. If you answer a very different question, it will give you a very different answer. Okay. And there are this is just the start. ऐसा ट्रैप तो हम शुरू में देते हैं ठीक है ऐसा ट्रैप तुम्हें मिड ऑफ द सीजन नहीं मिलेगा मिड ऑफ द सीजन वाले ट्रैप्स मिड ऑफ द सीजन टाइप के होते हैं ठीक है ये तो स्टार्ट ऑफ द सीजन वाला ट्रैप है ओके and therefore this process involves a lot of listening. So when you are inside an interview, you have to practice a lot of listening. You're listening to the questions carefully. Okay, it's very, very important. Swati, good work on that answer. Very, very nice. Okay. Yes, Ketan, go ahead.
Sir, if it was purchased for the use of company, then is the answer correct or incorrect, sir?
So then the answer is correct. So you did it absolutely right for balance sheet. You did it right for cash flow also. Because obviously it's an it's an investing activity. It's not an operating activity. तुम डेली तुम्हारा खरीदना बेचना काम थोड़ी है ठीक है अब तुम समोसा बना रहा है तो तुम थोड़ी रोज रेडियां खरीदता रहेगा करेक्ट सो बेसिकली वो ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिव नहीं है इन्वेस्टिंग एक्टिविटी है ठीक है तो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज राइट बट द डिप्रिसिएशन हैज टू कम आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द पीरियड not today. So today it will not impact the profit and loss statement. ठीक है आई एम होपिंग कि समझ में आया ठीक है और नॉन फाइनेंस वालों को और परेशान ना करते हुए सेशन को और आगे बढ़ाते हैं ठीक है नॉन फाइनेंस वाले भाग जाएंगे क्या चल रहा है भाई फाइनेंस वालों का सेशन चल रहा है खाली ठीक है सो व्हाट लेट मी रीशेयर माय स्क्रीन विद ऑल ऑफ यू सो व्हाट आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट इज आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट द डोमेन सेशंस राइट सो if I basically talk about the domain sessions, what you should do is start looking at the domain sessions. Okay. And once we effectively finish off our second assignment, parallelly we will have our domain sessions also getting started so that we have effectively fresh perspectives, okay, on every domain. Okay. Anybody having any questions so far beyond that at this till this point in time if you have any questions please feel free to ask. No questions. Okay. I must be explaining it very beautifully. Okay. All right then. Okay. So then let me talk a little bit more about the next important element. The next important element is everything else apart from PIs, okay, which is also going to be a very important part of our preparation, right? WATs, GDs, GIs, Gs. A lot of people have started getting the profile-based calls from the likes of, GIM, Goa, and Great Lakes. Anybody here who has some of these calls? Give me, a show of hands, or, give me yes or no in the chat, whatever. That is correct. Yes. So I think many of you have it. Yes. So now what you should do is, so let's say, for example, some of this also, okay, Kunal, I'm going to come to your question. Okay. So you can hold that question. Okay. And so I'm going to, take up a few more questions. So if I talk about, let's say, some of these processes will have VATs, right? So what you can do is, while we are going to start and focus more towards building up our answers, you can parallelly start, effectively going through these sessions. Like, for example, the VAT rules. Okay. So you can start going through the VAT rules, understand, VATs, right? We have a few VAT topics shared here, which you can start drafting and writing also. And we'll share a lot of updated topics also. Okay, so you can start drafting, and we will also have, so you already have our postcard prep mail ID. What you can do is you can share it with us, and we'll evaluate it as well. Okay, so start doing that. We will have, VAT sessions in this season also. Okay, but you can, proactively start, because you already have it in front of you. You can start doing that. Okay, I'm hoping that part is clear to everybody. Clear. So you will, and you can also, look at a lot of, the sessions. Let's say, for example, somebody is expecting SPJAN, has a good profile, expecting SPJAN to come. Start looking at group interviews. What do group interviews look like? You have a lot of interesting discussions inside the group interviews. ठीक है, बहुत लोगों की पिटाई हुई है, वो सब आपको यहाँ पे मिल जाएगा. तो ग्रुप इंटरव्यूज कैसे होते हैं? What are group interviews going to look like? Okay, what is, GD practice going to look like? What is GE practice going to look like? So for example, Symbiosis does GE, right? MDI, XLRI does GD. So what does GD look like? So you will have a lot of GDs, you will have a lot of GIs, a lot of GEs within the, the preparation process. But you can start looking at it from your standpoint. You can take a lead, you can be proactive, and start doing that on your own as well. You will absolutely thoroughly enjoy it. That is something which I can tell you. Okay. 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 What exactly to write about while practicing? Akhtar, can you repeat your question? Can you explain your question?
Sir, you talked about VAT practicing, so written ability test. So is it about like literally pen and paper or type?
No, no, it's you have to write it, pen and paper.
Okay. And while writing, what should be the like topics like finance, marketing, or maybe anything?
It can be anything. You can look at it. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा टाइम निकालो, आलसी मत बनो. ठीक है, और इसको देखो एक बार बैठ के. ठीक है, we will do the VAT session also, but our primary responsibility is to get our answers first. So we'll do a lot of these sessions also, but you can also start on your own. तुम अपने लेवल पे पैरेलली स्टार्ट कर सकते हो. ठीक है, so that you start getting a sense, स्पेशली जिन लोगों का वैट पहले होने वाला है, जैसे जो GIM वाले हैं, जो ग्रेट लेक्स वाले हैं, वो लोग पहले से अपना वैट देख के वैट शुरू कर सकते हैं. वैट का इवैल्यूएशन हम पैरेलली स्टार्ट कर देंगे. ठीक है. ओके. डज
Sir,
बैड डज बैड हैंडराइटिंग इम्पैक्ट? It should be legible is the way I look at it. मतलब you don't have to start practicing with Apsara pencil right now. You can obviously try and improve the way you do it, but obviously मतलब ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि वो बोल देगी कि तुम MBBS करो, MBA क्यों करना चाहते हो. ठीक है, इतना इतना भी गंदा नहीं होना चाहिए कि खाली कंपाउंडर ही समझ पा रहा है कि तुम क्या लिख रहे हो. ठीक है, सो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच यू हैव टू बी केयरफुल. एंड देयरफॉर यू हैव टू स्टार्ट राइटिंग, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट द हैंड राइटिंग ओनली. व्हेन यू विल स्टार्ट राइटिंग, यू विल रियलाइज दैट आई एम नॉट राइटिंग वेल. Correct. And then this entire process of reviewing the VATs and basically getting feedbacks on your VATs becomes very, very important. Okay. Yes, Shashwat, go ahead. But before that, before Shashwat, let me take Kunal's question. Kunal, go ahead with your question.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Hi Kunal, good evening. Yes, Kunal.
सर मतलब बहुत सारी चीजें हैं करने के लिए, बट समझ नहीं आ रहा है कहाँ से क्या स्टार्ट करें। फाइनेंस का तो कुछ पता ही नहीं है, तो एज एन इंजीनियर मतलब पढ़ना तो सभी है। जैट भी पढ़ना है, अब जैट भी आ रहा है, स्नैप भी है, तो समझ नहीं आ रहा कहाँ से क्या स्टार्ट करें कि लाइक स्ट्रक्चर वे में एक वो चीज समझा दीजिए थोड़ी।
देखो, सबसे पहले अपने आंसर्स ड्राफ्ट करना शुरू करो कुणाल। व्हाट
अभी
इज
वही कर रहा हूँ सर, जो आपने असाइनमेंट भेजा हुआ है।
तो सबसे पहले अपना असाइनमेंट 1 और असाइनमेंट 2 करो। ठीक है, असाइनमेंट 1 इज व्हाट हैज बीन सेंट टू यू, असाइनमेंट 2 इज द HR Q&A असाइनमेंट। ओके, तो प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव शुड बी टू फिनिश दीज बिट्स। ठीक है, दीज आर द बिगर पीसेस। इनको एक बार कर लिया तो 50% ऑफ द गेम इज डन। बाकी रिमेनिंग 50% में करंट अफेयर्स, ग्रेजुएशन सब्जेक्ट्स, डोमेन सेशन, एवरीथिंग इज देयर। द फर्स्ट पीस is to get the first impression right. I get inside, and that, very highly unlikely that person starts asking me a finance question to begin with. They're going to ask me some question to make me comfortable, and I'm going to really drive the interview from there. Okay, and therefore it's important that I write these answers very well. That's very, very important. Okay, Kshitij, once your assignments are done, okay, once the first and second assignments are done, then we will start with the schedule of sessions. Okay, till your assignments are happening, we are effectively, the one-on-one sessions will start. So once the one-on-one sessions will start, you will start getting the schedule of the one-on-one sessions in terms of the slots that are there. You will start filling up the slots and taking your one-on-ones, and and basically parallelly we will start with the week plan. So every week you will have the week plan. From the next week onwards, every week you will have the session plan. For example, let's say you have a session on economics at, let's say, 10 o'clock. You have a session on, let's say, marketing at, let's say, 8 o'clock. You have a session on, let's say, finance on, let's say, Tuesday, 10 o'clock. So you'll have the entire week plan, which will be circulated at a weekly level. But this week, our primary objective should be to drive our answers, to drive our assignment 1 and assignment 2. That is something which we are going to do. And once we start, for example, let's say, in this week itself, towards the weekend, we are looking at starting with the one-on-one sessions to then sit down with you and evaluate your answers. Okay. So in the next week onwards, you will have a plan in terms of the sessions also. Okay. So we are to prioritize our answers first and then move into the session plan. Okay. I'm hoping that answers your question. Kunal, have I answered your question also?
Just a point to add, like I have just enrolled in the postgrad prep yesterday or day before yesterday only. So
Mhm.
like the assignment that I have received, like the deadline is today 10 p.m. But I've hardly completed it because I have like have to prepare for Snap also, ZAT also. So like, is there a dead end or just like I have to like I can extend it to 1 or 2 days?
So, Kunal, see, the point is the more you extend, okay, your preparation is getting impacted, or your, for example, next steps are getting impacted. Okay. So, what you should do is you should try and do it as early as possible. Okay. Take out some time. My simple suggestion to everybody is ऐसा थोड़ी होता है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से स्नैप की तैयारी कर रहे हैं तो नहाना बंद है। ठीक है, वी आर नॉट taking baths. Okay, so basically take out, let's say, an hour and a half and start doing it, Kunal. Okay, because this is also important. Okay, so maybe take a couple of days more, but once your snap is done, obviously you know that you do not have enough excuses. Correct?
ट्रू
ठीक है
सर,
ना?
ट्रू। स्नैप के बाद तो हो जाएगा सर, तुरंत कर दूंगा, 1 2 दिन के अंदर ही कर दूंगा।
ठीक है, we will see that. Okay,
हाँ सर।
yeah. All right, Kavleen, go ahead with your question.
Am I audible?
That is your question? Yes.
And sir, I wanted to ask basically with Snap, with that, and with everything, that is what everyone is asking probably, and everyone is chilling probably in the same boat. But I wanted to ask, like, since the GDPI WAT is just here, how to prepare?
So,
Just like 8 to 10 days.
yes, complete. So what you should do is, while you effectively start drafting your first and second assignment, what you should also do is go through the VAT session. Okay, go through the VAT session. There are some VAT topics there. Okay, you can start writing those VAT topics. Okay, and you can keep sharing it with us. You have the postcard mail ID also. Okay, so keep sharing it with us, and we will have a priority evaluation for all the people who have these calls. Okay, so basically we'll have a priority evaluation for the gym guys and gym guys and people who have earlier calls, so that their VATs are evaluated on priority. Okay, and beyond that, if you have any question, you can also connect beyond the session, if in case you are facing any difficulty with respect to VAT. Okay, Kapil. ठीक है? Okay. All right. Any?
Sir, thanks.
No problem, Kapil. Any other? Yes, Shashwat, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. I hope I am audible.
Yes, I have not answered your question. Go ahead.
Yes. Sir, my question was basically related to the structure only, and our friends and my peers have addressed that, and that is solved. But now I would like to ask a question about the mindset, right? Because we have n number of things that is going in our plate. So what should be the approach for prioritizing a task, like what is important and what is urgent? GDPI के लिए भी prepare करना होता है. I have that to take care of. I have obviously in the personal level, I have not left my job. I am obviously skeptical कि मेरा SPJIMR में आएगा या फिर कुछ IIMs में आएगा based on my performance. And you know about it, we had a talk. So in
Yes.
this open platform, many of our friends also happen to relate with that. So please address that issue of us as well.
Which issue?
Issue is how to prioritize, first of all, our mindset, obviously, and our means targets.
Understood.
मीन्स किसके लिए प्रिपेयर करना है, कौन सा कॉल्स आ रहा है, वो सब माइंड में बहुत चलता रहता है सर.
नहीं, ठीक है, वैलिड क्वेश्चन है. शाश्वत, देखो एक सिंपल चीज बताता हूँ. ओके, most of us, okay, know that I will have some calls. Okay, that call can be ABC, XYZ, PYQ. ठीक है, मैं PQR बोलने वाला था, लेकिन PYQ करके दिमाग में PYQ सेट हो गया है. ठीक है, तो you will have a certain set of calls, right? One thing to understand is that what you are going to get is a constant. Okay, it is a constant, but it is unknown, right? It is not going to change by bothering about it. Obviously, that is something which you have to prepare. So you should obviously, dedicate some time towards that. Let's say, for example, whatever time you are dedicating, you're dedicating some time towards that. The important mindset here is that the month of December. So basically, let's say if I'm, for example, talking from the standpoint of a college, right? Or, my thought process from the standpoint of a college is कि जो लोग हैं वो let's say जनवरी से लेके नवंबर तक एंट्रेंस एग्जाम्स की तैयारी करेंगे, और उसके बाद दिसंबर से जनवरी फरवरी में इंटरव्यूज की तैयारी करेंगे, और फरवरी मार्च में कुछ लोगों के जनवरी में, जैसे एसपी जनवरी में हो जाएगा, एनमैट के प्रोसेसेस जनवरी से स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे, राइट? तो बेसिकली तुम्हारे फरवरी मार्च में इंटरव्यूज होंगे. ठीक है, दैट इज द माइंडसेट ऑफ अ कॉलेज. कॉलेज को नहीं पता है कि अब वी आर ईटिंग इनटू द इंटरव्यू टाइम. अब हम इंटरव्यू वाले टाइम को भी खाने लग गए हैं कि अब वो भी हम जैट को दे रहे हैं. ठीक है, मतलब जैट को दो, बट द पॉइंट इज कि तुमने देखा कि कितना कंटेंट है, right? You have seen it yourself. The reason why I have shown this to all of you is to effectively make you realize कि काफी चीजें हैं करने के लिए. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं कि एक दिन उठे और जाके इंटरव्यू देके आ गए. करेक्ट. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स एंड वी आर रिस्किंग missing out on a lot of areas if we do not start giving time right now. तो चाहे तुम 1 घंटा 1.5 घंटा ही दो, लेकिन डेली लेवल पे वो टाइम तुमको देना जरूरी है. One simple thing to understand here is that no matter what number of calls you get, okay, if you do not convert your top 3 calls, then you are losing it. Simple. So your objective is basically to convert your top 3 calls. So the important element or the important mindset from here is that I have to also start thinking about conversions. Okay, people who let's say did not receive a lot of calls last year, Okay, they are, basically, they are very excited, and they're all about just getting calls, कि बस कॉल आ जाए मेरे को कैसे भी. बट द पॉइंट इज कि कॉल आ जाने के बाद ही तुम्हारा, उसके बाद गेम खत्म नहीं हो जाता है. उसके बाद ही तुम्हारी बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट्स हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ, कन्वर्ट नहीं किया तो कोई फायदा ही नहीं है कॉल लाके. इफ यू गेट अ कॉल, you don't convert, it's better to not get a call. बिकॉज अगर तुमको कॉल आया और तुम कन्वर्ट नहीं किया, तो देन इट इज गोइंग टू रिजल्ट इन अ लॉट ऑफ गिल्ट. ठीक है, लेट्स से तेरे पास कॉल नंबर 1 2 3 है, तुम 4 5 6 7 8 9 में से कन्वर्ट करोगे, तो यू आर गोइंग टू रिग्रेट दैट फॉर 2 years inside your B school, until the point where you get a good placement. अगर तुमको कोई अच्छा प्लेसमेंट मिल गया, तब तुम्हारा गिल्ट थोड़ा सा कम होगा, पर 2 साल दैट गिल्ट इज गोइंग टू हॉन्ट यू. So if you really want to take that guilt, by all means, do not, take your GDPI seriously. But if you really want to effectively avoid that, my only point is put in additional time. Give additional time. You have to think that, okay, I have to give like 1.5 hours at a daily level. And then I'm going to plan everything, accordingly. So I'm going to put in, let's say, some X amount of hours for that, which I'm, let's say, going to put in for that. I'm not negotiating on that. Okay. But I'm also going to put in 1.5 hours, and now I have to think, where do I take out this time? Am I going to take out this time, out of my sleep? Am I going to take this out of, let's say, family time? Am I going to take it out of, let's say, friends time, cafe time, okay, Instagram time, whatever that is. Okay. So you have to be very, very particular about the process and the time commitment inside the process. Okay. So that is what, is the important element in terms of mindset, Shashwat. Okay. And see,
Yes, sir.
once you graduate outside, once you graduate out of the B school, right? In a few months, right? Like, for example, let's say, what is a typical FMCG structure? Anybody knows? So what's a typical FMCG structure? Once you get inside, once you get outside the college, you become an ASM. Okay. What is an ASM? An ASM is an area sales manager. ठीक है, जैसे तुम फॉर एग्जांपल HUL में गया, हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर, तो हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर में तुम ASM बनोगे, एरिया सेल्स मैनेजर. अब एरिया सेल्स मैनेजर के अंदर देयर आर लॉट ऑफ, सो बेसिकली तुम्हारे सब, फॉर एग्जांपल देयर आर TSMs, टेरिटरी सेल्स मैनेजर्स. ठीक है, टेरिटरी सेल्स मैनेजर, मान लो फॉर एग्जांपल तुम्हारा बड़ा टेरिटरी है, लेट्स से यू आर टेकिंग केयर ऑफ पुणे. ठीक है, तो पुणे में तेरे पास 8 TSM है. ठीक है, देयर आर 8 TSMs रिपोर्टिंग इनटू यू. ओके, why? Just because you are from a fancy B school. There are 8 TSMs reporting into you, and within every TSM, let's say there are 30-40 people. Okay, so now think about it. In one shot, there are 250-300 people reporting into you, और तुम तो अपने आप को ही नहीं मैनेज कर पा रहे हो. तो तुम ये, so how are you really going to manage 300 people? So what is important to understand is, management is not about only studying management or management subjects. It basically starts by managing one's own self, managing your own time, managing your priorities, and being absolutely ruthless about it. Okay. Only then can they really trust a 25-year-old. Okay. A 25-year-old who's basically the boss of everyone, who's 35, 38, 39, 32, 29. Okay. When I, went inside ABFRL at 25, I joined ABG after my, IIM, and then I was the youngest in the team. Okay. So I'm the youngest. ठीक है, और a lot of people, who are telling me कि यार ये बच्चा कहाँ से आ गया. ठीक है, ये बच्चा हमको कैसे बताएगा कि क्या करना है. समझ? So that is what is going to happen to you too. So unless, अगर तुम इतने क्लमजी हो कि तुम नहीं मैनेज कर रहे हो, तो वहां पे तुम्हारा सरवाइव करना ही डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा. People are going to make your life difficult because you are ahead of them. You are 25, 26, 27, and the people reporting into you are 30, 35, 38, who've, basically gone through levels by levels to be where they are. Okay. So you do not get the respect by just coming out of a top B school. You have to deserve that respect. to effectively sustain in that position and maybe prosper from there. Okay, so that is something which you have to, so grow up, to not basically throw tantrums कि नहीं ये नहीं करूंगा मैं, ठीक है, ये जीडी मैं नहीं करूंगा, ठीक है, वैट ये सब नहीं, ये वैट थोड़ा सा कम कर लें क्या, नेगोशिएट कर रहा है मेंटोर से कि 6 की जगह 4 वैट कर सकते हैं क्या, ठीक है, 4 कर दो, ठीक है, 4 मैं कर लूंगा, ठीक है, दैट इज नॉट द राइट माइंड सेट, ठीक है, इफ यू आर गेटिंग इनटू अ बी स्कूल you have to be responsible first for yourself, and then you can be responsible. Otherwise you are playing with the life of 250 people, ठीक है, जो तुमको अपना बॉस मानते हैं, तुम उन्हीं का लाइफ से खिलवाड़ कर रहे हो, तुम अपने आप को ही नहीं मैनेज कर पा रहे हो, ठीक है, तो वो तुम उनका करियर ट्रेजेक्ट्री, वो 250 लोगों का करियर ट्रेजेक्ट्री तेरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. यू गेटिंग, डू यू गेट द ग्रेविटी ऑफ दैट पोजिशन? इट्स नॉट अबाउट जस्ट बिकमिंग एन एएसएम, 2 लाख रुपए मिल रहे हैं. इट्स नॉट जस्ट दैट. You are basically responsible for the career trajectories of 250 people. ठीक है, जो रोज घर जाते हुए या तो तुमको दुआएं देंगे या तुम्हें गालियां देंगे. So think about, what is it that you want? Is it only money, or do you want something else? Do you want to make careers, as business leaders, and you do not become, and basically you do not effectively, you get promoted for your individual achievements, but you get stuck after a point. Okay? And what is true leadership? When everybody wants you to be at the top of that company, especially the people you started with. Okay? The people who you started with, those 250 people, if they are not supporting you, you are never becoming the CXO or CEO of that company. You will never become that. जिसके साथ तुम स्टार्ट किया वही तुमको सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा है, तो बाकी लोग तुम्हें क्या सपोर्ट करेंगे? तुम्हारे लोग जिनके साथ तुमने स्टार्ट किया, अगर वो ग्रो करेंगे, ठीक है, तो तुम्हारा पावर बढ़ेगा कंपनी के अंदर. ठीक है, अगर तुम सिर्फ ग्रो कर गया तो यू फेल्ड एज अ लीडर. ठीक है, व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड माय जर्नी विथ ABFRL, आई वाज एन एरिया रिटेल मैनेजर. I hired a lot of people. I had a lot of store managers. Okay. And basically, when I moved to the next level, okay, 9 of my managers also moved to the next level. Okay. So that is true success. ठीक है, फिर वो अलग अलग जगह जाएंगे, आपके आपका गुण गाथा गाएंगे, तब आप ग्रो करेंगे सिस्टम में. ठीक है, सो लीडरशिप इट्स नॉट दैट you have to work hard, for example, inside RSS, inside ABVP, inside, let's say, BJP, even inside a corporate, you have to work hard, and you have to have your followers, like absolutely ardent followers, the people who are like, take oath for your for the work that you are trying to do, then you will be successful. Because वो 250 लोग अगर फॉर एग्जांपल तुम्हारे लिए ट्रूली काम करने लग गए, तो तुम्हारा हर टारगेट अचीव होगा जो तुम अकेले कभी नहीं कर सकते. So you have to basically be the owner of, the true owner of the 250 people, the one who stands with them at all points in time. Correct? I still remember stores, anybody from retail background here, inside stores, the audits would happen, around, sometimes the audits would happen at 2 o'clock in the night. Correct? And basically there are a lot of, area managers, who had come in before that, who would tell ki store manager ko कि तुम जाओ और audit करा के आओ. I used to go there. ठीक है? So I used to be there while the audits will happen with my store manager. And then we'll have our, for example, 3 a.m. snack together, and then we'll head back home. It's very easy for me to say कि भाई तुम करा लो, ठीक है, but I would go there because obviously, early on in your career, when you're not married, ठीक है, you do not have a responsibility, a family in terms of that, so you take that ownership, right, Shashwat? Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Got it.
the mindset is to be first responsible for yourself, your targets, your goals, and then be responsible for everybody who is with you. If you carry that responsibility, only then you truly become a leader, not by writing leader 20 times in your answers.
मैंने नहीं लिखा.
नहीं, मैं तो
नहीं,
उसमें
I am just kidding.
I am not pinpointing you, Shashwat. I'm just saying that in general. ठीक है? Okay.
बीच बीच में थोड़ा मस्ती कर देता हूँ सर, सॉरी इफ आई एम डिस्टर्बिंग।
नहीं नहीं, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली नॉट डिस्टर्बिंग। इफ मस्ती करना इज डिस्टर्बिंग तो सबसे ज्यादा डिस्टर्बिंग मैं ही, ठीक है? Seriously, I'm telling you. So, absolutely not, nothing like that. And to be very honest, it's important कि हम थोड़ा सा हंसी मजाक भी साथ साथ में करते रहे, ठीक है ना? अदरवाइज मजा नहीं आएगा, ठीक है? सो ओके, सो व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज आई एम गोइंग टू कॉल इट अ डे. We'll again reconnect to effectively discuss the next steps in terms of the answers. But the session today, I wanted to give you a view of how do you start, how do you start preparing, what are the core components, and what is the process going to look like. Yes, Ketan, go ahead.
Sir, first of all, the Q&A, the HRA Q&A is the second assignment.
Yes.
And sir, some of the questions are like why MBA, strength, weakness. It is the repetition from the first assignment. So
Correct.
we have to refine and answer it, or we have to like copy
So,
paste of the
so,
first assignment.
so first, when you were writing, the first assignment, Ketan, then you did not have a template in mind, right? So you were writing in a candid manner, correct? When you start writing the second assignment, you have a template there, okay? Do you see this, Ketan? Ketan, are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
So when you are writing your second assignment, you have a template, you have a structure, you have a framework, and you write basis that framework. So that is what changes between assignment 1 and assignment 2. Assignment 1 gives us a very raw picture of what is it that you think. Okay, that is how we are able to understand the motivations a little better. Getting to know the candidates as they are is equally important. Right, Ketan?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Done. Okay. Anything else, guys? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet up, in the next session. I'm hoping that you all enjoyed this. Okay. All right. Perfect. So we're going to meet, and I'm pretty sure that you are going to, have a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of fun together. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. You all have a great day. People, let's get back to the that session also, and absolutely kill it wherever you are. Be your best and enjoy the process. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye bye.
सर जस्ट सर,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
हाँ जी, मतलब ये मेल अभी चेक कर रहा था, आई डिड नॉट गेट एनी एचआर क्वेश्चन, तो ये